Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Bronx-based jazz pianist, composer, arranger, and author Sharp Radway. We talked at length about his career in music, the arts, COVID, and his newest 2022 CD, Black Woman, A Conversation. The album is a tribute to the beauty, strength, and diversity of black women. It's a soulful combination of elements of jazz and spoken word. Sharp is a native of Hartford, Connecticut, and his roots can be found in the church. He is a protégé of the great Dr. Randy Weston, and he's been around the best in jazz, with the likes of Yusef Lateef, Benny Golson, Red Holloway, Slide Hampton, Curtis Fuller, and so many others. He was also in the film Cadillac Records with Mos Def, Beyonce Knowles, Cedric the Entertainer. This cat has a great ensemble of stories. Enjoy it.
Man, I got to say, before we begin, up front, you have the coolest name in the world, man.
Oh, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That is the way to just get a leg up on everything when you got a name like that.
As they say, from your mouth to God's ears.
There you go. I think the one thing, there's so many levels of this album that are necessary that make sense, not only because of the times we're living through, but we're celebrating women this month. We really need to be very mindful of equality, of balancing things out on planet Earth. So this album, to me, seems like it's a triumph at this time in our history. Talk to me a little bit about how it feels to come out now with, celebrating women. We're coming out of COVID, all of those things that are happening on the planet.
Did you say it was a triumph? Is that the word
yes.
you used? Wow. Yeah. Incredible. Well, this record, I would say is just like any composition or arrangement that I might do, or any performance, so-called performance that I might do. This project was, I would say, divinely inspired, I started working on this project in 2017. It's just now been released, So I think it's really a divinely appointed time for this record, And I feel blessed to have received these pieces and composed them, and I feel especially blessed to be able to present this musical offering at this time. With the people who I have received feedback from, who've purchased the record, or people who I've gifted the record to, they've come back and shared with me that, during these times, it leaves them with a sense of encouragement. Some have said that they've been inspired and uplifted. Some have shared that they've learned some things from the conversations on the record. And I think it's just a divinely appointed time for this record to be released right now.
Absolutely. And, just based with the responses that you've gotten so far, overall, what are you hoping the listener gets from this? How do you want them to feel when they're done listening to this album?
I would like everybody to just have a great listening experience where they might come away feeling inspired or uplifted or healed, just blessed in some kind of way. The title of the record is Black Woman, A Conversation, but the music is for everybody, The music was written and composed and performed with those objectives in mind, So I just hope that people would learn something from, like I said, from the conversations that you hear on the record, and also just get some food for the spirit. Food for sure. And food for the spirit.
We've been going through this COVID time. It's been a time of quarantine and self-reflection. What did you learn about yourself over this time that maybe you didn't realize before that's going to make you stronger as you get out and perform more live music and promote this new album?
I learned that I was in need of more time for myself in terms of just taking care of my own well-being, in terms of health, physically and mentally, and spiritually. I found that I was doing way too much before the pandemic. I found that this is actually a necessary thing for me to separate myself and feed myself so I have more to offer. This is something that I was already aware of, but I became a little more aware of, a little more conscious of. And I find that I'm able to bring more things to the music when I perform now as a result. I learned a lot of things about myself, you know.
Talk to me about your beginnings. You grew up in Hartford. Talk to me about how you started out in music and how kind of the jaws of jazz, so to speak, grabbed you and it became your life.
Oh, I love how you said it. The jaws of jazz. I love that.
Right on.
Yeah, it sure got his bite on me. It hasn't let go yet.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, and then early on I moved to a suburb outside of Hartford called Windsor, Connecticut, and then moved back to Hartford, Connecticut after high school. Yeah, that's where, I first got my first musical experiences playing in churches in Hartford, Connecticut. And I used to play alto saxophone and drums and sing in the choir and play keyboard. And I got kicked off the instruments many times until I got it together, you know. But I had my first musical experiences in the church. Now, the jaws of jazz seem to have gotten me, I would say, in my 20s, early 20s. I remember I was listening to a radio program. I wish I could remember what it was, but I was listening to a radio program, and the DJ played John Coltrane's Central Park West. You know that song, Central Park West?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, what a beauty, you know. And it was the most beautiful thing that I felt that was the most beautiful song I ever heard up until that point in time. So I called the radio station and I said, listen, can you play that song again? So I got my cassette, tape out, and this is a little bit before, the CD players and all that, which are now defunct anyway, but I got my cassette tape out, and I had them played, and I recorded it, and I kept recording it over and over again on the tape so that it was full of that one song. And really it was John Coltrane that brought me into the music, the Saints,
Yeah. What about the first live jazz show you saw that really blew you away?
I'm not sure what that was. I used to hang out at the University of Hartford at the Jackie McLean Institute of Jazz, the music school there. I guess you could call me one of Jackie's kids. I've heard people refer to me as that too, He used to let me come by and practice and sit in some of the classes, and, I would learn some things. I got to know some of the students at the school, and they would perform at a place on the campus called the Hawk's Nest. And it was just incredible for me to see what my peers were doing. And really, that's what knocked my socks off, just seeing what my peers were doing on their instruments. I said, man, I want to do what they're doing, So the first concerts or gigs that really got my attention were just some local gigs at the University of Hartford.
You're a protege of the great Dr. Randy Weston, and he was a wonderful soul. That had to be just enough for several lifetimes to learn from him.
Yeah, I'm still learning from him. Yeah.
What did he teach you? What do you remember that has been really key, not only in your development as a musician, but as a human on this planet?
In terms of music, he taught me to believe in myself as an explorer of the music and as a practitioner as well. He shared with me about the importance of having a foundation in stride piano and the blues, and the background in the black church, and of course, be rooted in Mama Africa. And I was able to hear these things from him because I was already on that path. You know, he would share with me based on my understanding and also on my lack of understanding, musically speaking. You know, he spoke about the importance of comping and playing in big band, and you know, he shared with me about arranging and about composition. On a personal level, you know, we always spoke about, well, first of all, every conversation, I can't remember any conversation where we didn't speak about the Most High. You know, he was a serious man of faith, and we would always talk about God. I found that to be the case speaking with him and also with Candido, who's on the record as well. With them, we always spoke about God and about family, and Randy would share with me about the role of a musician, not just on the bandstand, but also in your immediate community and in society and as a whole, and also your role as a musician or an artist to the world, you know. And he shared with me about, so much. I mean, I can go on and on. He shared with me about respecting your mother and your father and things about, you know, just how to serve your community, you know, how to look after the elderly. And we talked about African traditions, how we went about doing that, showing our love and care for the elderly and the young people around us and our fellow man, you know. So there are many things I learned from Randy.
I have two quick stories about both of those men, Candido and Randy. I interviewed Randy some years ago, and I had never had anybody explain to me the roots and etymology of jazz the way he did. It made my hair stand up. He said, Joe, I'm going to explain to you right now that jazz came from Africa, and if you go to Africa, everything swings. The tail of the elephant, the trees, everything swing, you know. And he explained it in a way that, like, the curtain parted. I never had to wonder. I could see it. So that's the one thing. And Randy was he was one of those first interviews where everything that he said was like magic. He was like the leader of the Jazz Jedi Council in Cloud City and Empire Strikes Back. You know, he was one of the genius elders. But the other thing is that I got married in 2019, and my wife, when we met a few years before. Oh, thank you, man. Absolutely. Yeah. A few years before, as a jazz guy, the first state that I took her to, Candido came to Kansas City and played at the Jazz Museum off 18 and Vine. And we will never forget that. Yeah. And just at his age and how vigorous he still was at 90, it was beautiful. So anyways, I have wondrous memories of both of them for sure.
Yes. You know, those were my two oldest friends. You know. Wow. And actually on a couple, you know, on multiple levels, my closest friends, you know. Yeah. I really felt that, you know, Randy somehow he just understood me. He just got me. You know, sometimes I don't know if you've experienced that, but that's something to know that someone just gets you, you know?
Yeah.
Just understand. For sure. Yeah, and I feel especially blessed to have him as part of my life and, you know, part of this life's journey. You know?
I'm curious, you know, as a creator, I mean, you've been in film, in music, you're at the core of you, you're a creator and an artist. And I'm curious, what motivates you every day to get up and to create whatever you decide to get into that day? What is it that you like the best about this process?
Well, you know, I was sharing, you know, that for me, man, I don't know how any other way to say it, but things are divinely inspired for myself. That's just how it is for me, you know. And I can draw from any kind of interaction that I may have with someone, or an interaction with nature, or some observation that I was fortunate enough to have made, or something someone said to me, or something that came up in a conversation. You know, I draw inspiration from all of those different places. Really, my music, even if I'm arranging something that was composed by someone else, still my music it reflects just my life and what's around me and what I can see around me and what I've experienced. I draw from whatever it is that I'm experiencing. I hope that answer isn't too vague.
It did. No. That's beautiful. That's great. And I'm curious too, as the world kind of opens up and you're promoting this album, what do you hope we all realize about the power of live music that we've largely been away from for 2 years when things start getting back into focus and shows begin again?
I just hope that people can appreciate what they receive from a live music experience. And I hope that what they're receiving is indeed food for the spirit, food for the mind, food for the soul, And I think if they can have that appreciation, I think the performers, will feel that, and we'll be able to draw from that and even have more to offer.
The other thing about your career too, you learned from Randy, but you've also been around so many other very esteemed musicians throughout your life. And I'm curious, as somebody that teaches young musicians that you're around, what have you learned from the elder statesmen, those that we would consider legends and luminaries in this craft, that you've gotten from them that you in turn give back to the younger generation to keep this jazz torch going?
Well, wow. Oh my goodness. I've learned so much, Actually, I have a book that I wrote in 2008 that was published in 2010, and then the second edition, a revised edition, was published in 2015, called Musicianship 101, What They Don't Tell You in School. In that book, I discuss a lot of those things that I've gotten from the elders and from my own experience and observing other people's experiences. But from them, I've learned how to survive on the road. I've learned how to be a better accompanist. I've learned how to be a better husband. I've learned how to conduct myself when it comes to conducting business and when it comes to just conducting yourself on the bandstand and off of the bandstand. I learned that you're always on the bandstand, So, I don't know, there's so many things. I've learned how to eat better, I've learned how to be a better accompanist on the bandstand and also off of the bandstand. So there's so many things.
Everyone has a perception or an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you live your life. You have a perception of yourself. Who do you think you are?
I have to say I'm a child of the Most High God. Well, I don't even know if I'd call myself a musician as much as I'd call myself an instrument, and the Most High being the one true musician. And I guess I'm an instrument. I do have piano students, so I guess you could say I'm a teacher as well. I'm a friend. I'm a lover. So many different things. I guess you could say, yeah, I'm an artist. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a man of faith. Whenever I play, I think in terms of playing music as being a ministry. So I look at myself as serving as a minister as well. A minister of music. And right healing through music. Yeah.
Beautiful. Man, I've really enjoyed the album. This has been wonderful to get to know you, and I'm really looking forward to presenting you to the Neon Jazz community. Thank you again for your time today, and good luck with everything as hopefully the world opens up more.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this interview. I hope we can talk again sometime.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in the Bronx, Hartford, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Sharp for his time, energy, and cool. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.